Many, many years ago, when we first started taking care of the animals here at the sanctuary, we started to experience the passing of these animals. And Paul Eckhoff, who is now passed, at that time was designing our buildings. Well, the first one he designed was Benton's house. And then we also talked about a place for the animals to be tucked in. We use that term, tucked in, because their life with us is so deeply cherished and valued. What they have given us, which all of us feel with our own individual animals in our lives, is beyond measure. What I believe the animals give us is the ability to love and receive and share love, unlike love that we experience in our own human relationships, which are very deep and very long-abiding and very special. But with our animals, it's uncomplicated. They are uncomplicated. They are undiminished and unchanged by all the circumstances that have affected their lives. Their love does not diminish. And so having a special place for them was something Paul wanted to create. And I was fortunate to be participating with Paul in that creation. So he identified this area here for Angel's Rest. This first section to my right is where we began, and then we continued on this way. As we were doing it, it became clear that tucking horses in here could be a challenge. So we have a special place for them on the lower level. But over here, there is a horseshoe shape that gives special recognition to everyone that has been here and cared for and passed on. We also have a special memorial for the animals that passed during Katrina. They aren't named, but they are honored and loved and cherished. So as we walk through Angel's Rest, we will see special places like this, as well as the precious individual, either placements or memorials. Speaking of memorials, these wind chimes are that. And they might be someone who is placed here, or they might be someone who is still resting, possibly in cremains, with their family or tucked in somewhere else. But they have a memorial here. And they started talking just as I mentioned them. That's an interesting thing. When we tuck the little guys in here, it can be really quiet, like now. And then we tuck them in, and the chimes start to talk. It's an amazing thing that has never not occurred. Over this direction, past where the car is parked, is a little area called Angel's Nest, which is where we tuck in the little guys that create nests. It could be, little geckos, or it could be a robin. But I want to tell you about a very special thing that happened when I was caretaker here before you, Byron, but I think you know about this. I got a call from a family, 2 women in San Francisco, who had a cat who had passed away. Zipporah was her name. And they called and said, can we bring her cremains to be placed at Angel's Rest? I said, I would be honored to help you do that. They said, we also would like to create our own headstone that would lay flat. And I said, that would be so beautiful. If you walk over there, you'll see a gray marble headstone, and it says, Zipporah, Princess of Calico. The thing that occurred in her placement when she was tucked in was after the stone was placed, they then put a small stone each on top of her stone. I had never seen that in real life before, but I saw that at the end of a movie. And I realized this is actually something people do. So I asked them about that. I said, tell me about the placement of the stone. And they said, this is an old Jewish tradition, that when you visit the site of someone you know, loved, you bring a stone and place it. We began to share that with everybody that was coming and tucking their little ones in. Now, when you walk through here, some of them have like a mound that is huge on top of the gravestones. And Byron provides beautiful, precious stones for people to choose from when they're doing the placement, because they don't necessarily come prepared to do that. So you will see really beautiful, precious mementos all through here. We have celebrities placed here, like Tomato the cat, whom you heard about today at lunch, who helped create the magazine. So take time and walk through, not necessarily today in the heat, but sometime when it's comfortable. What I'd like to do at this moment is have everyone close your eyes. And if you need to, just move a little bit in your seat, put your feet on the ground, do something to just sit with comfort. And I'd like you to think about that precious little one that may have recently passed, or one that was so tucked into your heart, that little heartmate that passed a while ago. And picture their face. Picture their little ears. Remember what it felt to touch them, to stroke them, to cuddle them. And just be with them and feel that incredible place inside of you where the love you shared for them and the love they gave you is always present. And go to that place and just be there with them. Something beautiful remains. The tide recedes and leaves behind bright seashells on the sand. The sun goes down and gentle warmth still lingers on the land. The music stops and yet it echoes on in sweet refrains. For every joy that passes, something beautiful remains.
Hi, I'm Byron. Anne gave me such a nice introduction. I'm a caretaker here at this sacred canyon, and I'm going to share some names of animals here at the sanctuary that have passed away this month. In Dogtown, we have Callie, Kahir, Lorcan, Sheba, and Milo. And then over in Cat World, we have Leopold, Chippy, Seeley, Proteus, Ambrosia, Elmer Fudd, Cadith, Sebastian and Pizzazz, Dogwood and Cottonwood, Starsky and Glendora. And then we also have some tributes that came online that we'd like to share. Eve, Baloo, Tilly, Clyde, Knuckles, Kenny, Brady, Lincoln, Winston, and Simon. And then we're also really grateful to have some tributes sent in from our friends and founders that are attending here at the sanctuary. Mackenzie, Sydney, Cleo, Patty, Lizzie, Henry, Rutherford, Sam, Tazzy, Harp, Lola, Tiger, Shelby, Truly, Nanny, Enjoy, Oreo, Phoebe and Flutter, Sylvia, Jake and Elwood, Pearl, Buddy, Cleo and Maddie, Romeo and Juliet, Dak, Spencer, Moses, Blaze. We also have Lady and Snowball, Ella, Zoe, Riley, and Starry, Dino and Ginger, Lacey, Bella, Bumble, Julie and Jet, Zach, Scarlett, Cody, Xander and Jackson, Hannah and Addie, Heidi, Bandit, Mandy, Loki, Lady Bear, Rebo and Peaches, Amy, Chunky, Cleo, Sadie, Jake, Buster, Fudgy, Sammy, Muffin, Bunny, Smokey, Pumpkin, Nico, Peanut, Sterling, Precious, Butch, Frankie, Casper, and Mr. Snowy. So we're going to take a moment of silence and just think on these guys as they make their travels to the Rainbow Bridge. And now I do have a story of Cleo that comes from one of our workers here, Amanda. You were our very first adoption after I started working at the animal rescue. We always said you were our firstborn. You were with us for almost 15 years. You watched our family grow by 2 legs and by 4, followed us through many, many moves, and you were always there no matter what changed, loving us as much as we loved you. 15 years was not enough. We will love you forever, little muffin. Love, Mom, Ashley, and Telly. And now we have a couple of stories from one of our coworkers here at the sanctuary.
My name's Jess, and I work in Dogtown. And so I just would like to talk about a few of the dogs who passed away in the past month. I did talk about Callie last month, so I'm not going to talk about her tonight. But I would like to read a tribute from Sheba's caregiver, Claudine. Sheba came to Best Friends via a court order from California. She was owned for 11 years, and one day she got loose from her home and attacked and injured a small dog. Then she got loose again and went back to the same house where she had attacked the dog previously. Animal control was contacted, and they seized Sheba, labeling her as a vicious dog. Sheba had to stay at the shelter until her court date. During this time, she was confined to small living conditions for almost a year. So many people wanted to help Sheba. She had her own social media called Free Sheba. The court awarded her the opportunity to live out her life at Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. During her time at the sanctuary, she was not able to leave the grounds due to the court order. She started out at a few places in Dogtown before becoming the Deja's Kitchen Dog. That's an area in Dogtown for dogs who need to live singly because Sheba preferred to be the only dog. She was nervous at first, but she settled in quickly. Every time an employee or volunteer would come into the kitchen, she would get so excited, grabbing her favorite toy in hopes they would play with her, or jumping up on them with excitement. Mind you, she was a big girl. Or sitting in hopes of getting a treat. She loved to explore the Deja's and Angel's trails. We always knew when someone was coming to our kitchen. She would run right out the dog door and bark until they came in to greet her. She loved people and squeaky toys. Most of all, we loved her. It was an honor to have given her a safe and loving place that she could call home. She is forever in our hearts. 2 of the dogs on our list this month were puppies. And oftentimes people think of puppies and they think of fun and games and joy, and that is true. But they're often the most precious, delicate souls that we get here. And so despite our caregivers' best efforts and the efforts of our clinic, we do lose puppies sometimes. So I just wanted to honor them. One passed away at the very end of last month, and his brother not far behind him. The last dog I'll talk about is a rough one for me. It's actually my oldest friend in Dogtown. People would probably think of a human if I said that. But my oldest friend in Dogtown was Milo. He came here about 2 months before I did in 2013. And I met him shortly after I arrived, when he was a young, frisky, energetic dog who actually liked to play with other dogs and live with them. Despite some severe elbow arthritis that we think was congenital. He came here already having problems at the age of 2. So as Milo went through his journey here, he decided he didn't want to live with other dogs anymore. He wanted all the attention for himself, mostly because he wanted all the resources for himself, like food and his favorite Nylobones. He loved the tiniest of Nylobones. And he had quite a big Nylobone collection. So he ended up living on his own for most of his time here in Dogtown, but he had many human friends and his caregivers and in a few local volunteers. And later, once we started our blue collar program, he was able to be with more and more people because he really wasn't very difficult to meet. You just couldn't touch any of his stuff. So Milo was lucky enough at the beginning of this year to move to an area called Old Friends. And we love all of our dogs here in Dogtown, and they get lots of extra special attention, but Old Friends is full of extra pampering, and especially in the winter for a dog with arthritis, heated floors. So I was really happy for him that he was able to go and live out the remainder of his life there. Some of my favorite memories of Milo were when I cared for him as a caregiver, of course, but when I wasn't his caregiver, I would pick him up for lunch. He was one of my best lunch buddies. And so he would hop in the car. He always had to pee first because once he peed in my car. So that was our little routine. And then we'd go for a drive. Usually, if it was too hot to walk, he didn't always love walking anyway because of the elbow arthritis. We'd take a drive somewhere. I'd eat my lunch. Despite the fact that he had resource guarding, he never once was weird with me eating lunch, and I could actually share some pieces with him. We would go to the drive-thru sometimes in town, get some Wendy's fries. That was a big favorite of ours. And we would just spend lunch together because otherwise I didn't get to see him as much as I would have liked. And recently, I'm glad I got to see him a bit more after he moved to Old Friends. He developed really elevated liver values, and so we had to be very careful about what kind of pain control we were using for Milo for the arthritis because we couldn't damage his liver worse because they were probably the worst liver values I've ever seen in my time here in Dogtown. And so eventually Milo, even though we were giving him pain control, something happened within his joints. The vets were amazed that he was still walking, and his joints kind of solidified and calcified, and he couldn't really walk anymore. So we got him some really good pain control for one last day, but we didn't want him to live like that. We wanted him, to live a life with dignity, and we didn't feel that he had that anymore. So all the people that he knew and loved for many years surrounded him, and he got a really huge feast. And he loved it. He was still hungry. He still wanted all the food. We surrounded him with love and a feast of food, and we helped him cross the Rainbow Bridge before he was really, really suffering. And while it's hard to think of Dogtown without him, since he's been my oldest friend, I know that he's at peace. And some of the things he enjoyed most were digging holes, which became hard when he was arthritic, and hiding his Nylobones in there. So I know that he is up over the Rainbow Bridge digging a bunch of holes and has millions of Nylobones. So I just wanted to think of Milo today. And I'll save this mostly for next time, but today we lost a very special dog in Dogtown named Kirby. So I just want to pay a little honor to Kirby now, and I'll tell you more about him next time. Thanks.
We're going to save them all. We're going to love them all. And eventually we say goodbye, but that's okay. Close your eyes. Relax. Weep not for me, though I am gone, into that gentle night. Grieve if you will, but not for long, upon my soul's sweet flight. I am at peace, my soul's at rest. There is no need for tears. For with your love, I was so blessed for all those many years. All fear is now gone. Put those things out of your thoughts. In your memory, I live on. Remember not my fight for breath. Remember not the strife. Do not dwell upon my death, but celebrate my life. And with that, we're going to just move on into the rest of our day and taking this very special cherishing with us. And thank you, everyone, for all that you do for these little precious lives. Thank you.